Hi, welcome back to the ANS Way with myself and Ant, and we are on our second video of the day here in the UK. And what are we doing?
We have just done a tour of the local area of Ebbsfleet, the place that we were going to live if we didn't move to the US. And this second video is actually going to be a tour of an apartment in Ebbsfleet. And it's really to give people an idea of some of the differences, because you should have already by now followed and watched our other videos and the apartment. Yeah, we did an apartment tour and also the home tour of the home that we're buying in the US, and also the home that we live in the US, and how they sell certain features. And we're going to give you a tour of an apartment in the UK, which is a new build, maybe a couple of years old at most, and show you some of the standard features and point out the differences of what they do or don't add on as an extra. Here.
Really to give perspective of what a typical new build apartment in the UK is like, what the size is, and kind of a perspective on how we view things as well when we're looking at the US homes.
So the first thing we should point out is this is an apartment that's about 800 square foot, 810 in Ebbsfleet, which is the southeast of England, which is also southeast of London.
Okay, so this is the main living area space. So you could say it's a bit like an American style home with open plan living, but not quite the expanse and size, like the size that you are used to. So in here, you've got a living space, a dining room and the kitchen, but let's start in the kitchen. We would say this is a fairly typical UK style kitchen in the sense of the minimum standard that it would come in for a UK home. You will notice for a new build home, and that is, you'll notice here, this isn't a granite worktop surface. So when Ant was talking about those in the last video, if you haven't watched it, go and watch that, where we do a tour of Ebbsfleet. We talk about some of the housing association homes and how some of the fixtures will be of a lower spec, where some other ones are more premium. This is kind of like the lower end. However, this is standard. Just to also show you here, cupboards, cabinetry as we have in the US, but can you see how very different? No handles, but yet you can open them. And let's see what this is. Soft close. And the same here. All soft close. Here as well, what you might find interesting, our appliances are integrated, and that's quite common in the UK, where your washer dryer might be integrated, especially in apartments where you're trying to save space. And I quite like it because it's hidden, so you don't know that you've got your washer dryer here, and look, dishwasher. Same with the fridge. So this is, again, not something we've typically seen in the US, but very common, irrespective of whether it's an apartment or a house. You will often find that you have an integrated fridge freezer. You might notice the size. So this isn't uncommon. And even with a 4-bedroom home, this would be a pretty standard fridge size, surprisingly. How do we cope?
To add in, the reason I think we've had to go down the route of integrating everything is this is the space.
Yeah.
So to give some perspective over the size, we saw my brother and our family yesterday, and I said, how big's your house? He's got a 3-bedroom house, maybe 15 to 20 minutes from here. It's 800 square foot, and this apartment is 810. And in some of our previous, I think we did it twice in 2 previous videos where we actually showed the UK statistics on home size, and it was, even for me, surprising, like 780 square foot. So we have to integrate where we can. We don't have another place to put our washer dryer. We don't have another place. So in the US, it's quite common to have a laundry room.
Yeah.
There's no laundry room here. You've got the bedroom that you sleep in and then the rooms that you live in. So that's why we found clever ways to integrate and hide things. And just to point out with the cabinets, only because I've had to learn this, so these are called full overlay cabinets. And you'll see, if you watch any of the US videos, they'll talk about European style. And this is a classic European style. So they are completely flat finish. They've got no beveled or intricate edges, which we don't like in the US. It seems to be popular. We like this really clean finish. And you'll see, I've mentioned it many times in our previous videos, I would prefer if this was a standard option. It doesn't seem to be an option at all on a lot of the homes that we were going for. I know Toll Brothers and Tri-Point offer it, have no idea what they cost. But the homes that we were actually looking at, this wasn't an option.
And I think for me, that's what was quite interesting. This is fairly normal for a style that you can get in a new build and not necessarily an upgrade either. So for us, it was quite interesting when we went to the design centre and these style cupboards weren't really the norm.
Exactly, and that's a good point because in terms of upgrades in this kitchen, so to me it looks really nice and modern. There is none. This is how the kitchen comes. You don't have to pay for an upgrade. The other thing, which is a little bit geeky, but these are actually plastic. So some parts are aluminium, but a lot of it is plastic here, the drawers, and they have undermount slides, which makes them the soft close. No cost. Upgrade.
So that's the kitchen. This particular apartment, as I mentioned, shares its kitchen, dining room and living room area in one space. So the way that the owners of this have set up the dining room area here, got TV in the corner, and then just over on this side, you have the sofa. And this is another thing that would probably be interesting for us now because the size is very different. And in the US, we've been used to these. Even when you go into an apartment, they have a really large space for the living area, which means you can put these huge sofas in. And this is actually a very large sofa for the UK. But again, very different with the size and space that we're working with.
We stayed in a 2-bed apartment when we arrived in the US that Selena's company had provided for us. And I think it was 1,000 square foot. And then the 3 beds, I think were about 1,400, which is just unheard of. We do actually have a friend that's got something, I can't remember if it's 12 or 1,300 square foot, but he does have a 2-bed, 1,300 square foot apartment. But you're looking at 500,000, 600,000 minimum at that pounds. So what's that, like $800,000 for an apartment at that point. Most places here, this one I think, did we mention, is probably today worth around 330, only because we know what they're building them for over there, £330,000. I don't know what that is in dollars, maybe 420. I'll put it in somewhere. But that gives you an idea of the value for money that you're getting. And yeah, you're right. This is a huge sofa, and in actual fact, this apartment does really good use of its space. So often when it's one room, it's just one square room, which isn't that great for separating out. Whereas here, and I'll do some pan shots, the kitchen is actually round the corner, and the sound, believe it or not, travels less in here. So you can cook and watch TV in here. In the place that we live in now, which is 2,700 square foot, if you have anything going on in the kitchen, forget watching TV.
Yeah, the whole house can hear it, basically.
Yeah, it's horrible. So the acoustics, particularly in our home, because it's got 20-foot ceilings, are terrible. And I could be watching YouTube, which is what I watch mostly. You'll be cooking something, and you might as well just switch it off. It's so bad.
So this apartment has 2 bedrooms, 1 ensuite, and then another full bath. Is that what you call it? Is that a bath? Full bath. Okay. So this is the full bath, quite close to the living area space, but I think it's quite conveniently placed. I'm not entirely sure what would have been an upgrade in this, but I'm guessing this would have been standard up to about here. And then had they have wanted full tiling, that would have been the upgrade. So that was very similar to us when we bought a Red Row home back in 2015. It was the same. You got a certain amount of tiling as standard, and then if you wanted full tiling, that would have been an upgrade. The bit that I wanted to share, so I think as crazy as this seems, you start to pick up the differences between what we have in the UK versus the US. And also I find that our toilets are actually very different in the styles. So we have a very different shape. Believe it or not, there's a standard height. There's not an option to upgrade, or that the height of your bathroom would be different, the same as what we're dealing with our other bathroom, where we've had to pay extra to have it at adult height. So these just wouldn't be a conceivable option. It's just a standard height in the bathroom.
And to clarify and to make it obvious, so get what you're trying to describe, the part that Selena's talking about, I think it's called a cistern, but the easiest way, the tank that holds the water, you'll notice, doesn't exist. It is hidden in here, so you don't see that, so it leaves a much cleaner finish than all of even the toll brush they have the tank on the back. And this isn't dissimilar, so our house has the standard tank, but our apartment that we own doesn't have it, it's hidden behind there. And it makes the bathroom feel so much more modern. It
is, and it's such a strange thing because all of our homes in the last, for us, at least for the last 6 or 7 years that we've have had that style.
No, our house has got tank.
Has it? There you go. So maybe it's just the modern ones, but even so, you would imagine in the US that you would have that option. But let us know if you know in the home, is it just where we are? Is it just the developer that we're going with? Or is it a particular area where you do get that? Here we have this is the second bedroom in this apartment. I would say this is actually quite a good size second bedroom, and depending on the types of apartments you buy here, you never quite know what size you're going to get, but at least here I can see that you can get a super king size bed in here comfortably. Sometimes it's more questionable whether you can get a good double bed size into this room, but I would say this is quite a good size bedroom. This is the master bedroom. In the UK, I would say the style of what you get for a master bedroom can really vary from builder to builder, home style and apartment. I wouldn't say there is necessarily a typical size, and it really depends on the overall configuration. But what I would say is typical is that the master suite will come with an ensuite bathroom and a fitted wardrobe, not a walk-in. So this is a key difference between what you get as a difference between the US and the UK. In the US, master suites, irrespective of whether it's an apartment or a house, will always have the main bedroom area, the ensuite, and then a walk-in wardrobe. And we've found that in all apartments and houses. And that's quite an interesting thing. I would say in the UK, to get a master with a walk-in, it's usually very rare, but maybe a luxury style builder that would do that, or you've done it yourself. And this is the ensuite, and this might surprise you at the size, because I can pretty much go from the wall here, and that's where the shower starts. It is a very tiny ensuite.
And this is quite big.
Yeah.
It's probably half the, 1/3 bigger than your ensuite.
Yeah, and I would say, because our home, our house, our ensuite wasn't that big either. Our largest ensuite that we had is in the house, the last apartment that we bought, and have checked that video out. That's probably the largest ensuite we've ever had. But what we have with the his and hers is not typically that common. Again, that would be the his and hers bathroom would really be from a luxury builder, or if you built a home truly to your own spec.
So a couple of things that I wanted to add into the video, and I'll insert the clip. The doors here are, and in most new build places that we've been to, are of a much higher quality than the ones that we found in the US, unless you're willing to pay the upgrade. And quite often there's two types. You've got the hollow doors in the US, which are going to be a much cheaper, and then you've got the solid doors, which a lot of UK homes do come with, and then you're talking thousands of pounds to upgrade them. The doors here, which again I will put in, are 5-panel, but they're solid as well. And I don't know if this is because code or regulation, as we have in the UK, where they have to be fire doors in an apartment. But we have noticed where we were before, they're usually all hollow. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just a difference between the regulation. Also, the actual finish, the fit and finish, to me, looks a lot nicer. The paintwork looks nicer. The indents look a lot nicer. And the hardware, the standard hardware you get with it, is a lot higher quality. In order to get that in the US, they want their money, so you have to pay quite a premium. As we found out, I can't remember, it's in the thousands, I think, to change all of the door handles. Here, I'm happy with the handles that they've got, whereas in the US, I think I would always swap them out over time. Something Selena definitely picked up on, but didn't mention in the video, which I find really weird now because we spent so much time. You don't get any pull down, so I don't know what the actual term is, but in the sink, the tap, Every US home has it, where you can put it down and wash your dishes off. You don't get it. I've never seen
not
it
as
in
standard.
the UK.
You would have to
buy it after.
You would have to buy that after.
And what's interesting is, as soon as we've arrived here, I know I've done it. I've pulled the tap to rinse my dishes off, but obviously there's nothing there to do it. And in the US, it's like this really popular thing where they advertise you tankless water heater. We've had those for a long time. A lot of the older houses, of course not, but most of the newer, larger homes and most of the flats now are tankless water heaters, so you get instant hot water. You haven't got to go, oh, have you used too much hot water today? You've got to turn the boiler on. It just comes out instantly hot. I can't say I've been to a new home that doesn't have this now.
Yeah, the other thing I would add, generally, we've mentioned the types of upgrades you would typically need to option on in a UK style home. And there wasn't much that we could mention. And that was because that is really the reality of when you buy a UK home. It pretty much comes with everything you need except for the flooring. So the flooring is something that you would definitely have to do yourself. And lighting.
Yeah.
So not that obviously the fixtures, but where your pre-wires, the lighting area, that will come as standard. You would never to me, that was probably the biggest shock with US homes, or certainly for us going through that process, is having to put lighting into your bedrooms or your hallway. That to me is kind of a very core staple of what you need.
So if you're new to the channel or this video because you're looking at UK apartment tours, do have a look at our US home tours, because I think you'll find it really interesting about so what you see here, yes, they've changed the fixture, so I really like what they've done here. But that already exists.
Yeah.
They just need to put the fixture up. In the US, that does not exist. You have to pay them to put in the wiring.
Oh, it will come with the bulb as well. So it's not like you won't have lights when you come in.
Yeah.
So when you come in, there'll be a very plain bulb,
It's
kind
got
of
a
pendant light that's fitted. But to me, that was absolutely crazy. But the opposite side of that is that there's very minimal that you can do in where your light fixtures go. So if you wanted something on the wall or a different area, you are very limited.
Yeah, I would say more than that. The builder will never change where these are, unless you've got a custom build, or you're having your house renovated by your own contractor. The build is the build. It's just standardized for everybody. As you mentioned, you can choose your flooring. The flooring in here is the standard flooring that comes with this apartment, but you can choose that, maybe a different color, maybe have carpet. You can probably choose, as you mentioned, the
cabinetry, the style, the work surface.
The work surface, and that's about your limit. Everything else, you wouldn't be able to change. For example, we've changed out how our doors are in the houses, sliding doors, or you could option that not to be on there. This is how it comes. Yeah,
and the other things like what we've had to do is the electrical, where you could pick where your outlets are, the style. That wouldn't be something that you would do in the UK. Where your electrical outlets are, as an example down here, is just going to be what you get with the apartment. I do believe some home builders allow you to upgrade certain elements. So if it has like the USB fixtures.
You can put USB, you can put Cat 5, but this is, when we moved into our house, we bought our house, to have them run the wiring for something like Cat 5 or the speaker system, it was something like £4,000 or £5,000, so $8,000, which is way too much. We know because we asked them for the media cabinet they put in. It was $980, so it was considerably less for that upgrade than the UK. And I don't know whether that's just time. Maybe 6 years ago in the US it was that amount, but definitely here they really put you off trying to change anything. They just want you to build the house exactly standard, and they can move on. I guess it's too much time for them here. Yeah, and on that same theme of being standard, you can't really change the configuration of the structure inside. That the structure, the room layout is as is. You can't add an extra kitchen area or say a sink in another room. That would all have to be things that you decide to do after the fact, not part of the construction of the home. The other thing I was thinking of, typical, especially in Vegas, it's a very hot place. You get air conditioning built into the home. That's very normal. Here we have what we call centralized heating with radiators, which I don't think is something you see in
homes in
We've
Vegas?
not been to any cold, I've personally not been to any cold states, and if I have, I've not been to the homes. So I wouldn't be able to comment. Maybe somebody that lives in Boston or Chicago can tell us. Leave a comment if you do know. But places that we've spent a lot of time in are Florida, California.
We go to warm places.
And Nevada. So we've only known AC.
Yeah.
I've never seen radiators. Whereas here, you don't have any cooling devices built into your home. You only have radiators because it's cold 300 days of the year. Genuinely, about 300 days.
And then when it is hot, you just suffer.
Yeah, everybody just suffers through it. You promise yourself you're going to buy yourself a portable AC unit. It cools down, you forget, and then it gets to July or August. You have your 5 days of heat. You rush to B&Q to buy your AC unit, but the smart people have already bought them.
They're out of stock.
And you're just stuck in this cycle. Some people now are getting the portable AC units because it does get really stuffy and muggy. Yeah. So they buy those and then you can cool your house down, wheel it out.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. I'd be very curious to know what you guys think, our UK viewers, our US, anywhere else in the world that's watching. How does this compare to what you thought? Does it now make sense with some of the comments we've made about our home buying process as well?
Yeah, it will be interesting. Oh, and so this is 800 square foot. This is considered a larger apartment.
Yeah. Definitely.
Our home is about the one that we're buying is 2,400 square foot, and I think it's the smallest of the ones that we looked at. That gives you some perspective over the size difference.
So I hope you found that interesting. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching.